In this video, I'm going to be crocheting this little keychain frog. And the pattern's by Stitch Glitch Crochet. It's a free pattern on Instagram. I'm going to use a 4.5mm crochet hook. And this is a clover hook. One stitch marker. It looks like a little pin that closes. And some scissors. It doesn't matter. You can use big, different, whatever scissors you want. Doesn't matter. The reason why I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook is because I'm using Parfait chunky yarn, and this is a weight 6 yarn Chanel, so it recommends a 4 and above, so I'm going to use 4.5 on mine. So this pattern is called a frog keychain. It's a free Instagram pattern on Instagram, and I just wrote it out here. So we're going to do round, it's by Stitch and Glitch Crochet. We're going to do round 1 magic ring, 6 single crochets. So how I do my magic ring, I just chain 2, and then in the last stitch I do my 6 single crochets into. So we're going to do a magic loop. I just wrap it around my fingers and then bring this yarn over here underneath my fingers and then pull this loop with my hook to make a slip knot. And you don't want it to be too tight. You want enough room to wiggle around with. So I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to insert my hook. You have 1 bump, 2 bump, and then this last stitch. You can put your finger through that little hole right there. That's where you're going to put your hook into, and you're going to do 6 single crochets. So insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going into this hole right here. 5, 6, 'So you have 6. So on the pattern here it says you should have 6. So you need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bumps. So the row 2, you're going to do increases. So you're going to do increase times 6. So what an increase means when you read a pattern is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So you have 6 stitches, so you're going to do 2 in each stitch around, so that you will have 12 left. So insert your hook back into there. And now we're going to do round 2. So we're going to do 2 single crochets around 6 times. So 1, 2. If you lose count, you can write it down, or you can get like a row counter, like something like this, to count your rows, or you can do like a digital one. So that was 1, and then 2, and sometimes you can't hardly see them, so if you move it around, you're going to want to go underneath there. Three, 4, and then 5, and 6. So I did 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So now I should have 12 on my hook here, or on my circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So at this point, I usually go ahead and put my stitch marker in place here, so that I don't have to use my row counter. You should even out when you have your stitch marker in place. So I don't usually use this, but it's a good tool to have if you want to use it. So in row 3, we're gonna do 1 single crochet increase, and the next one times 6, and that'll be 18. So we're gonna do 1 single crochet, and the next one we're gonna do an increase. So an increase would be 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then another single crochet. So we did 1, so this would be 2 single crochet. And then increase. So I go 1 increase, 2 increase. That way I know to do 6. Three increase, or 3, and then increase. So the 3 is my 3rd single crochet. Increase. And then 4 single crochet. and then we're going to do an increase, and then 5, increase, and then 6, increase. So now you should have 18 on your hook here, or on your circle, going around 18. So in the next row, we're going to do 2 single crochets, and then we're going to do an increase, and we're going to do that 6 times equal 24. So I'm going to move my stitch marker up. So we're going to do 2 single crochets, so 1, 2, and then we're going to increase. So increase in the next stitch, you would do 2 in the same stitch, 2 single crochet. So then we're going to do 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to increase. And we're going to do that all the way around. If you want to use your rope or stitch counter, you can, but usually when you're doing increases, if you put a stitch marker at the end, it usually ends up being the total number that you need. So you really don't need a stitch counter, so that's why I don't use it. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this round, and then I'll show you how to do the next round. Finished that row, so I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch marker there. So you need 24 at the end of that row. So I just count these little bumps: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So in rounds 5 through 8, we're just going to do 24 single crochets around. So you're going to do single crochet all the way around rows 5 through 8, so 4 rounds of single crochet. So I would probably either write it down that you're on round 5, 6, 7, 8, and then mark them off on a piece of paper if you don't have one of these. Or you can go, we're on round 5, so we'll do it all the way up to round 8, so you can just switch your little marker. So I'm going to go ahead and single crochet around 24, and then I'll show you how to do the next round where you do a decrease. I finished row 8, so this is what it's looking like so far. So now in row 9, we're going to do 2 single crochets, a decrease, and we're going to do this 6 times to be 18, and then we're gonna start stuffing it. So I'm gonna show you how to do the decrease as a beginner. Like that would be like a good thing to learn when you're doing amigurumi stuffies or plushy animals. So I'm gonna move my stitch marker up. So we're gonna do 2 single crochets. So 1, and then in the next one another single crochet, so that'll be 2 single crochets. We're not doing it in the same stitch this time, we're just doing in each stitch we're going to do 2, and then you can either like go in, grab some yarn, and then go into the next stitch and grab some yarn and then pull through all 3 of them. But if you want it to be like an invisible decrease to where you won't see that, I usually grab, you have a back and a front, so I usually grab the front loop of the next stitch and go in between there, pull some yarn through, and then the next stitch I grab the front loop, so you're going to be in the middle of the front and the back, and you're going to pull through or yarn over, pull through, and then pull through all that, the 3 loops. So that is considered a decrease. So you have 1, 2 decrease. So I'll show you again. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then you're going to do another decrease. So you can either go in, yarn over, pull, and then go in, yarn over, pull, yarn over, and pull through 3. But I like to do the invisible decrease, so I'm going to do the front loops. So I'm going to yarn, put my hook on the front loop, pull through, and then go through the next one, front loop, pull. So you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. So that's a decrease. So we're going to do that all the way around, and that'll be 6 times, and then we're going to start stuffing it. So in this part it says to go ahead and stuff it, and then round 10 you're going to do just 1 single crochet and then decrease like you did up here. You did 2, but down here you're just going to do 1 and then decrease 6 times, and then 6 decreases, and then you're going to cut it off and fasten off, and I'll show you how to sew it together once you get these 2 rounds done. To fasten off, cut and fasten off. FO means fasten off. So we're going to just kind of like do like a slip stitch here, and then slip that one over that one, and then you're going to cut like a long enough piece of yarn so you can sew that on. And then I use these little darning needles. Comes with different colors. I've lost a few of them. I think it came with more than this. I got it on Amazon. I like these because they're like curved. The tips are curved, and when you're sewing stuff in, So you're going to take your needle and you can tie a little knot on the end of it. And then I go the top stitch in, and then I go the next stitch on the top this way out, then the next stitch in, next stitch, and then this should close. And I usually just take my needle and go in, and then I wrap it around to make a little knot between this loop. Pull. That way it'll be tight and this little hole won't open up. And then I go the other way and do the same thing. And then around this loop, I just put my needle to tie a knot. And then you're gonna hide this. Go back and forth a few times. And then you just cut this part off here with your scissors, if I can find them. And then you just stuff that in to the body of the So on the eyes it says to do a magic ring like we did up here. So I usually just chain 2, and then in the second stitch you do 10 single crochets, and that's supposed to make the eyes. And then you're going to sew the eyes onto the body of the frog. So you can add blush if you want under the eyes, and then you can make a mouth or whatever you want to it. So I just wanted to show you like the basics of a magic ring, 6 single crochet or single crochets, increases and decreases. So I hope that helped. I decided to go ahead and use the 10mm safety eyes, and I put it in the second row from the bottom. So I just want to see the little lines going this way. So I just count it up to, and that's where I put my eye. And on this pattern, it says to do the eyes magic ring, 10 single crochets. Well, it was kind of flat, so I didn't really like that. I think maybe in her pattern she used acrylic yarn, and with the chenille yarn it didn't really work out too well. So I did 3 rounds of 10 single crochets to make my eye look like this, and I think I like that better. It looks better on the head like that to me. So I just decided to change the pattern a little bit, and so I just wanted to let y'all know that. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give me a like and subscribe. And I hope y'all have a good rest of your weekend or week, whatever. Have a good one.